the educational investments weren't there the way they should have been, maybe because the long-term planning wasn't there, maybe because the financial literacy wasn't there. And I think that this is important to reflect upon because what it kind of does, in my opinion, is it opens that door for us to really understand why we're here. Like what are we doing here? Like what is this? And because this conversation, we get up every single day and we do this every single morning at 10 a.m. And we can't just be doing it just for the money. Like we can't just be doing it just so we can flex on our friends and drive a Bugatti and get buy Gucci at the store and all that. Because all that stuff is kind of silly after a while. Like eventually, if you have it, you get tired of it. You get bored with it. Like that's why Deion Sanders, if you remember, Deion Sanders also talks a lot about how he was actually suicidal or he was ready to take his own life when he was at the peak of his career. And you would say, why would a man who has all the money, all the women, all the power, all the fame, all the success, why would he feel so sad that he doesn't even want to be on this earth anymore? And I think it's because he didn't have his purpose. He had all this stuff, but he didn't know what to do with it. And I think that that's a problem a lot of young people run into, especially if you're listening to people that are in that low vibrational, superficial mode. I think that there's energy that makes us very low vibrational where you're playing survivalnomics and strugglenomics instead of playing powernomics. I think about that whole conversation. I did a whole podcast episode. By the way, I do have a podcast. It's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. I have another one called Dr. Boyce Daily Stock Market. If you guys want to go on Spotify, just look up my name. There's 2 or 3 podcasts. I keep different. I kind of compartmentalize my content because I know sometimes people don't want to hear me talk about topics outside of financial stuff. So I respect that. And anyway, I was talking for a while about the conversations that happened even during the debates that have to do with black jobs and what is a black job. I know a lot of people were asking, like, what is a black job? What is a black job? And I said, yeah, I don't really want to talk about black jobs for too long. I'm not saying they're not important. They do matter. Black jobs do matter. But I said, instead of just talking about black jobs, why don't we finish the conversation? Why don't we finish the discussion instead of talking about just black jobs? Why don't we talk about black wealth? Why don't we talk about black owned? Why don't we talk about black health? Why don't we talk about black children? Why don't we talk about black success? Why don't we talk about black excellence? Why don't we talk about black education? Why does everything have to be black jobs? Black jobs, black jobs, black jobs. I'm looking for my black job. I want Trump to give me my black job. And I said, yeah, but if Trump is giving you your black job, he gonna give you the nigga job. Excuse my French. Like that's just I know it's Sunday morning. I promise I won't cuss no more. But that's what they're gonna give you. Like why would you think that your only pathway to success and power in this world is is for a guy like a Trump or a Biden to just give you your black job? I don't care who says it. I don't care if a Democrat or a Republican says it. Just the fact that my life is limited, my options are limited by whether or not somebody chooses to give me my black job, that's a real dilemma right there. That's a real problem. That to me does reflect a type of low vibrational thinking where that's kind of the best you're going to get. Is that you hope that you get your black job, you hope that your black job pays you a good black salary and that you are able to get the best black job you could possibly get. Um I'm gonna tell you, I don't think that's the best you can be. I don't think that's the mountaintop for any of us. I don't think that's where we're able to go as a people. I think that we're better than that. I think that we're capable of doing more than that. And anyway, so before I just get started, before I move on, can you all hear me? Give me a quick yes if you can hear me. Okay, let me know. I got the mic kind of far from me, and as you all know, when I'm traveling, you get issues with Wi-Fi and audio and all that, and I want to make sure I'm not like going in and out or something crazy like that. I know in my last hotel, I've been in hotels all weekend because our daughter was doing she was doing her dance nationals and the whole dance, let me tell you, the whole like dance industry for little girls it's such a racket. It's a complete racket because they got all these different organizations and they all have their own version of nationals. And I was like, how come every time we go to the nationals are always in Illinois? I thought that they would have nationals in Hawaii or California, or like when I did track and field, I did AAU track. And when we'd have nationals, one year it'll be in Florida, and the next year it might be in California, then the next year it's going to be in New York. But no, every nationals was in Illinois. I said, they can't always have the nationals in Illinois. And what I found out was that they have like 40 different events they call the nationals. and it's all just and it's just they just suck up your money. So we were in hotels and watching the dance stuff and everything, and you know, just trying to be a good dance dad. You know, that's my goal. I ain't gonna lie, it's a little boring for me, but I try my best to focus and to enjoy it, and also it to me, I think if you love your kids, you love what they love. So if she loves it, I love it. You know, I'm her number one fan. But anyway, with that said though, so yeah, so now I'm in a different hotel, and I was wondering about the Wi-Fi here. So thank you for giving me the yes to let me know you can hear me. All right, so let's talk about money and options, though. I really think it's important to kind of have a conversation about just what that means. What does that even look like? So because when you're trying to form a vision for your life, one requirement of having a vision is that you have to know what the vision looks like. You know, a lot of people either have no vision or they don't know what their vision is supposed to look like. So they borrow someone else's vision, or maybe they just have no vision. And you say, okay, so what do you want to be? Like, what do you want to be in your life? And they'll say, I want to be rich. Because everybody says they want to be rich. That's a very popular future profession for lots of people. I want to be rich. Okay. How are you going to get rich? And a lot of young people are like, I don't know. So I'm like, okay, so you're telling me that you want to do a really hard task, but you have no idea how you're going to do it. You want to go to a really far away destination. And so I say, well, where do you want to do in your life? Well, I want to get to Cincinnati. And you say, well, how are you going to get there? By car, by bus, by plane? Well, I don't know. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, good. Do you know where Cincinnati's located? Where's it on the map? I don't know. I don't know. Right? Have you done anything to move yourself towards Cincinnati? Did you get a bus ticket, a plane ticket? Did you start walking? And no, 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 I've been sitting here. Well, bro, you ain't going to Cincinnati. You're gonna be stuck right here in El Segundo or wherever you at. You're not going anywhere. And I think that is and just an interesting observation. You'd be amazed if you look around and you hear people talk about their future, and they lay things out that are amazing and beautiful, but they don't really, I don't think they're able to see the vision. So I wanted to talk about options because I was really a little bit annoyed with that whole black jobs conversation, to be honest with you. I just kind of didn't understand the obsession with black jobs. I did explain in the podcast episode, and by the way, you can find it on Spotify, or you can go to drboycetv.com if you want to hear it. I did explain what I think someone might mean when they say black jobs. I've heard Democrats say it, I've heard Republicans say it. So a black job could either be defined as jobs that are held by black people, or it could be defined in a more egregious way, which would be jobs that are relegated to black people. That this is the black job, this is the white job, this is the Asian job. For example, I would say basketball player or something, or rapper is typically a black job. Like NFL player, that's a black job. Team owner, that's not a black job. Jerry Jones and all the other team owners do not look like you and I. You know, maybe if you're talking about garbage man or something, maybe that used to be a black job to some people. Senior engineer at Google is not a black job. That's not, because if you go to the meeting of all the senior engineers at Google and you gather them all in a room, you're going to see a whole bunch of white guys, you're going to see a whole bunch of Indian people and Asian people, and you might see one or two black people, but you won't see a lot, right? So basically, to some extent, there is, in my view, in America, there is a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy of what they consider to be the black jobs versus the white jobs. And one thing that I always remind you guys about when you talk about things like integration, like why were people so eager to integrate you? It was for the similar reasons to why they're so eager to bring in immigrants from other countries. When they open the borders and they let people in droves into the United States, that boosts the economy, by the way. That does boost the economy because it increases the labor supply. It increases the numbers of young people in your economy. A lot of economies are struggling and dying. Japan and other countries are dying because they don't have enough young people. They just don't. They don't. Their population's getting old. They're not reproducing. Japan is begging. I heard that there was a brother that told me this weekend. Is this true? There's a brother I met I went into the Armani store for a minute so I could just see how ridiculously overpriced the clothes were. I didn't buy anything, but I talked to a really nice brother, and he said, yeah, man, they're paying black men $75,000 to come to Japan and make babies. And I was like, who the hell came up with that policy? Why did they like that? That's a black job for your ass right there. I mean, I was thinking, what is it about black men that makes them think that we're the one? Like again, they didn't say we're paying money for men. They black men in particular. I said, Lord Jesus, that's okay. I heard, and the things that's got to be a myth. I said that can't be true. I cannot imagine them saying I will pay black men money to come to Japan and that didn't make any sense, right? So I don't believe it, by the way. I believe it's got to be a myth, but I've heard it in about five different places, which is kind of crazy. So anyway, so let me get back to it. Let me get back. So a lot of societies are struggling because they don't have enough young people. So the United States, one way that they're trying to strengthen the economy long term is by bringing in as many immigrants as possible. Now that works definitely for the elite. Those who own businesses and corporations, they benefit because when the labor supply is higher, they can get more labor for a lower cost. So that means that if you get upset because you're only making $18 an hour and you demand 20, then they replace you with, an immigrant robot, whatever they can do. Amazon, in fact, Amazon has I think they've deployed 750,000 robots. I put this on my Instagram, which is Dr. Boyce Finance. They have deployed 750,000 robots and eliminated 100,000 jobs. And if you don't think they're going to eventually deploy 2 or 3 million robots to eliminate a million jobs, you're crazy. They're going to do everything they can to get rid of the human element in their factories because human beings can be very costly to hire. They want labor rights. They want bathroom breaks. They want to unionize. Robots will never do these things, and they don't sleep. They can work as long as the batteries last. So this is kind of the society that you're getting into. And in fact, if you want to sort of prepare long term for this, I believe that investing in these AI companies is one way to kind of sort of mitigate some of that risk. And I put together a list of AI stocks that I'm personally investing in over time. If you want to get that list, just text the word stock to the number 87948. Text stock to 87948, and you'll get profit alerts, and also you'll get that list of AI stocks. It'll be the first thing that comes to your text message. So let's go back. Let's go deeper into this though. When you're talking about money and options, let's circle back to that because I know we talked about the population and youth and all that. And integration. So integration, in my opinion, was done so that they could have a bigger labor supply. And when you integrate a group of people that are so-called outsiders, you don't integrate them to take the best jobs. You integrate them to do the worst jobs. You don't integrate them to be the boss. You integrate them to be the subordinate. They're not bringing any immigrants from other countries in so that they can come and run our companies. They're bringing immigrants in mostly so they can be employees in these organizations. I believe integration was done in the same way. When we were integrated into society, we were integrated so that we could get the black jobs. And the black jobs were not the high paying jobs. They were not the safe jobs. They were not the high quality jobs. They were the jobs that were dangerous and low paying and the jobs that nobody else wanted. And so, really, to some extent, if you want a job other than the black job, then you have to think of it in a very simple way. If I move into another man's house and he says, which room do you want? I am I going to sleep in the master bedroom? If I move into another man's house and he's got a wife and four kids, and he asks, and I come in and I'm trying to figure out, well, which room am I going to have? Which room do you think I'm going to get? The master bedroom? Or am I going to get the room that is for the guest? What room is that called? What's that room called? It's called the guest room. Right? He's gonna if I come in and I say, well, I'm hoping that since I'm such a good guy and I'm a nice person, I work hard like you, that I can get the master bedroom and maybe I can even sleep with your wife. And he's gonna say, you're crazy. You can't, not only can you not sleep with my wife, you better not sleep with my wife, but also you're gonna sleep in the guest room because that's because you're a guest. So to me, I think when you talk about the term black jobs, that's what I think about. I think about the fact that you're in an economy that is owned and controlled and run by other people, and in that economy, you think that you're going to sleep in the master bedroom eventually, or that if you serve the economy long enough, eventually they'll let you sleep in the master bedroom and get the spoils of owning the house. When really they're going to put you in the guest bedroom or give you the black job, right? The black job is the guest bedroom in the American economy. It's basically this predicated on a very simple idea that says that if you are walking into a space that is foreign to you, that is not owned and controlled by you, then the power will not belong to you. That is not going to be your space. You're not going to get to decide where you want to be in that system. Again, I don't want you to understand. I want you to internalize this. Let me know if you're getting this. I sometimes I might overplay the analogy, but it's because I want to make sure everybody understands. There's no way I can move into a house that's owned by somebody else and expect to sleep anywhere other than the guest bedroom. It would be crazy for them to say, no, 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 I'll stay in the guest bedroom. You sleep in the master bedroom. That people don't do that. Do you understand? So if you want to sleep in a master bedroom, then you're gonna have to be the master. Do you understand? The master will never let you sleep in the master bedroom because the master bedroom is for the master. The black job is for black people. The master job is for the master. So a lot of us every day when we go to work, we don't realize we do have a master. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that there's somebody who's taking away our options. We're trading our options in for money, and it's the person who tells us when we have to arrive, what we have to do with our time, when we can even go to the bathroom sometimes, and to some extent in that particular space, we're agreeing to accept the master's rules because we're in the master's house. So, and then in addition to being in the master's house, we accept the job that the master will allow us to have. So there is such a thing in America, in my opinion, as a black job. I do believe that. I don't believe that we were integrated into the American economy to run the damn economy. So in order for you to sleep in the master bedroom, you're going to have to go build a house. And sometimes it might mean that you can't sleep in a house as nice as the one that you were in before. Master's house has been built for 400 years. It's a big, strong, powerful house. I go work for Goldman Sachs. They have corporate events. They're beautiful. They're amazing. You're in fancy hotels. You get a corporate credit card. You get all kinds of, really high salary and big fancy office. And then you go start your business. You say, well, I'm gonna build my own house. Well, that house is gonna be a little bit raggedy for a while. It takes time to build a house. It takes time. The people that founded Goldman Sachs spent a long time building Goldman Sachs. So unless you're willing to spend a long time building your own house, then you'll never get to sleep in the master bedroom because master owns that house. And somehow someone convinced us to take these shortcuts or to believe that these shortcuts are possible. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about money and options. And so you guys know I talk a lot about stock options, and I believe stock options are the best way on earth I've ever seen to make money. We have the Prime program. If you want to take a look, go to drboyceprime.com, and the Prime program is a great way to learn how to start selling stock options to make money. This is how I make my money every week, and this is how I pay for hotels and trips and whatever me and my wife want to do. It's just something people don't talk enough about, but I really think it's worth exploring. So drboyceprime.com if you want to see what we do in our class. But anyway, let's not talk just about stock options. I want to talk about options, period. Money is a beautiful thing to master, not just because it can buy you material items, but because money just gives you options. Money, having access to money, having access to resources creates one less barrier for you to do what you want to do. So let's think about it like this. How many of you can think of a lot of times in life where maybe your parents wanted to do something for you, but they couldn't because they didn't have the money? Give me a guess if you remember any moments like that in your life. Give me a guess if you know times in your own life, even now, where maybe there are things you might want to do for yourself, for your kids, places you want to live. Maybe you want to fly first class instead of coach, but you can't because money's kind of getting in the way. Or how about this? Days where you're sleepy and you want to sleep in, you would give anything for an extra 2 hours of sleep, but you can't sleep in because you got to get up because you have to go to work. Right. So these are examples of where money becomes a barrier, and a lack of money can create a lack of options where that there is a barrier between where you are and happiness. Happiness is over there and you're over here, and you want to build a bridge between where you are and where happiness resides. Happiness might mean a couple hours of sleep. Happiness might mean a day at the spa. Happiness might mean more time with your parents. Happiness might mean going to the gym. Happiness might mean watching Netflix. Happiness might mean dating who you want. Happiness might mean living in another city. Happiness might be over there, but you're over here, and money is the barrier. Money, the bridge of money required for you to go from where you are to the place where you're going to be happy. That bridge has a void. There's a big gap that keeps you from getting there. That's the experience of a lot of people. And this is one of the reasons why I think that the best gift you can give to your child is not just economic resources, but also economic understanding. Because a person who understands economics, if they understand money and they have some money and then they know how to get more money if they need it, that person is a bridge builder. That person is a rainmaker in their own life. That person is not someone who's going out seeking opportunities. They can create opportunities. That's not a person who's looking for the black job. They can create a black job if they want. They can even create a white job if they want. And then when they choose a job, they can choose whatever job that they want. That is a person that has options. That's a person that tends to be happier and freer and just more open to all the possibilities that life can provide. So here are some examples of where money can create options and why I'm hoping to convince you that economic intelligence should be a fundamental core value within your family. It should be right up there with going to church or right up there with exercising, right up there with love and all the other values that you may have. Not because money is a god, not because you should worship money, but because if you master money to a certain level, then you can get money out of the way and really get to the business of living life. So here's some examples of where money might create options. One, if you want the day off from work, money will give you the day off from work, so you can sit around and think about your purpose and why what you want to do with your life and what really matters to you. So instead of going along with masses plan, you get to go along with your plan or God's plan. Right? You get to get in touch with the universe and meditate and think about things, and you're not distracted by all that time you got to spend on the factory floor or in the corporate office. Also, if money allows you freedom in relationships, a lot of times, think about how many times people will, especially it happens a lot with women. I thought about this a lot when I was writing my book, Financial Lovemaking. I saw a lot of examples where women were dating men that they would not have chosen if those men, if they'd had their own money or if the man did not have money. A lot of people will sleep with other people because they're looking for somebody that can help them pay the bills. They will, you'll see it all the time. You see, anytime you see a 25-year-old dating a 58-year-old, some fat, ugly 58-year-old man, well, you know that there's money behind the equation. So you have to wonder, like, what would she choose if she had enough money or had her own money? Or if he had no money, like how does money kind of shift that variable? Or even for men, a lot of times you'll hear men say, well, it's cheaper to keep her or whatever. So I'm afraid of exploring myself and living the life I need to live because a divorce would be so financially devastating that I just can't afford to do it, or whatever it is, right? Or men even, men. I think even a lot of men's self-esteem is driven by how they do financially, and so I think that in terms of having options for yourself, if you're talking about dating, I can tell you this: when I went from being a broke graduate student to making $100,000 a year as a finance professor, my dating options exploded tremendously. And then when I became a millionaire, it was too explosive. It was too much. It was too overwhelming. And so I'm not saying that this is the pathway to go, but I can say that money does matter. And money matters in dating, in relationships, in ways that people they don't want to admit. They want to act like it's a non-entity, but no, it's a huge entity. It's a huge variable. Also, you can travel freely. I mean, I think traveling is something that everybody should do. If you have plenty of money, you can go around the world. You can learn about different cultures. There's a lot of limited thinking that happens in America because we don't see other countries. We don't know how blessed we are sometimes because we've never seen how unblessed other people are. If you ever go to parts of Africa and Bangladesh and other places, I mean, just the really poor areas, they have a level of poverty that's just absolutely inhumane. It's inhuman. It's insane that we allow other human beings to live this way when we got people like Elon Musk who are making 10, $20 million a day. I just don't. I think that's honestly from an ethical standpoint, that's insane to me. I don't get it. Also, when money's out of the way, one thing that's going to happen with your children when you have gotten rid of the financial stress is they're going to start operating on a higher vibrational frequency. Some might say the negative interpretation would be that they're out of touch with with the problems of poverty, right? And that's a legitimate critique that they're not going to be able to relate to not being able to do what you want to do because you don't have enough money because that won't be their experience. That could be the negative of it, but the good side of it. The good side of being out of touch is that if you are operating and vibrating on this higher frequency, yeah, your feet aren't going to be on the ground anymore. You're not going to have to worry about what's happening on the ground. You're thinking about what's happening in the clouds. So ultimately, I personally will admit that I kind of enjoy the idea of knowing that my children could really find out who they are and what they want to do without money shaping who they are and what they want to do, without money defining what job they're going to take. They don't have to go take the black job. They don't have to take any job because they know how to create a job, or they know how to walk away from jobs if they want to. Jobs, see, the thing is, and I'm saying this as a finance guy. I've been teaching this finance stuff for a long time, and let me just tell you, I've come to the conclusion that capitalism, number one, it ain't nothing but pimping. That's what it's really pimping. And if you understand how pimps operate, you understand capitalist systems very, very well. Pimps are able to extract resources out of vulnerable people. Pimps are able to manipulate people psychologically to get them to do work on their behalf so they can extract things from you. And they operate and they maintain that control through fear or insecurities, various insecurities. If you're financially insecure, emotionally insecure, and physically insecure, then you're a perfect target for a pimp, because the pimp will offer a semblance of that security in exchange for a massive wealth extraction. They're going to take the very best of you. They're going to make you give up things that money can't buy. Like they literally suck your soul out of your body, in addition to your money, in exchange for providing things that effectively fill voids that I believe should have been filled by somebody else. They should have been filled by your parents. They should have been fulfilled by your father. But when those voids are there, they can spot it in a second, and they're able to just extract things from you. So let me explain the capitalist pimp. Capitalist pimps, and I'm talking about the very worst of capitalism. I don't think all people in the capitalist system are bad, but there are some that will just destroy your life and suck your soul out of your body and not give a damn. Think about how many people you know who hate their job so much that it's just depleted their spirit, their entire spirit. It's depleted all their energy. It's depleted they suck away your hopes and dreams. You see a lot of depression and anxiety from people going to work every day, doing jobs that they hate. There's a lot of mental illness that can happen just from the fact that you just feel trapped. And this is very natural. This is that soul sucking process. This is the same way when you have the dreary eyed prostitute who just takes drugs so she can numb her mind enough to do what is required to fulfill the wishes of the pimp, because the pimp controls our whole life, right? So he's it's like this demonic soul draining kind of process where he's like, bitch better have my money. You know what I'm talking. Y'all know the song AMG, right? So the point of the matter, and forgive me for being direct and vulgar with this, but this is the reality. So when you're in a situation where you don't have options and no one prepared you with options, no one gave you any resources, then capitalism does a very good job of kind of controlling your life. That's where you see college graduates who don't have a nickel in their pocket, and a ton of student loan debt, who they could literally find one direction they want to go and say, this is where God is telling me to go. This is where my passion tells me to go. But then let's say that going this way, they're going to get 30,000 a year. But then somebody says, well, if you go this way in the direction your passion is not telling you to go, we'll give you 52,000 a year. Well, they're gonna reverse the whole bus, right? They're gonna do a whole U-turn on their life over, a measly $20,000 a year. And here's the reality that I'm here to share with you, and I hope that you'll hear me on this. If you plan ahead when it comes to family wealth, if you give yourself a 5, 10, 20-year plan, $20,000 ain't nothing. It's nothing. I mean, it's amazing to me how many people I know who will derail and transform their whole entire life over very small, insignificant amounts of money. The money seems large because you're trying to earn it all really quickly. It's like if I try to go, it's like, think about it like this. Here's another way to look at it. This is what goes through my head. I hope I can communicate this. Think about it like this. 75 miles is not a long way, right? It's very easy to go 75 miles. But what if I said you got to go 75 miles in 30 seconds? That's impossible. That would be absolutely impossible for you to do. But if I give you time and I say, well, in the next 2 weeks, you're going to have to go 75 miles. Well, you can go 75 miles over, 100 times in that amount of time. If you start early, if you don't wait till the last minute, if you don't waste time. So this is when I explain to you all that time is the most important variable when it comes to building wealth. The biggest thing people waste is not their money, it's that they waste their time. Wasting your money is not as detrimental as wasting time because, to be quite frank, the Black community does not have a lot of money. But one thing that we do have on equal footing with every other group in America is we have plenty of time. Everybody gets the same 24 hours in a day. You still have the same 8,760 hours in a year. The question is, what are you doing with that time? And are you applying that time to prepare for the difficult choices that are going to have to be made ahead later on? That can be detrimental if you don't have enough resources. So 20 years from now, in the year, what is it, 2024, in the year 2044, some of you have kids or grandkids that are going to have to make some really important life decision. And their heart and their passion is going to guide them to go east, but then there's somebody's gonna offer them a measly amount of money, maybe another 20,000 a year, or whatever that is in 20 years. So let's say it's 60,000 a year by then, right? Some measly increase in pay that's going to cause them to derail and go in a completely different direction. That's going to lead to a little bit more money, but a lot more misery, a lot more unhappiness, a lot more unfulfilled dreams, a lot more sadness, a lot more soul sucking devastation, right? But they're going to do it. Why? Because they're being offered a little bit more money to endure that pain. And by you preparing for them financially, then they're going to be able to say, no, I don't, the money's not enough to make me go in that direction. Do you understand? Like for example, I know people who have literally gone to prison 30 years so they can get an extra $200. $200 is not a whole lot of money. Now, at least it definitely ain't worth 30 years in prison, but there are some of us, because of the financial devastation, the financial desperation, that end up we vibrate on such a low frequency that in order to get a small amount of money, we will give away something that money should never be able to buy. Your life, your time, your freedom, your physical health. You go sleep with somebody because this guy gave you $300 to help pay the rent. $300 is not worth your body, but then in that situation, it feels that way because you have no other way to get the money. So this is where planning really comes into play. Money provides options. People that have plenty of money, people that have financial security, are able to live a better life because they can make choices where money is not even a variable in the decision-making process. And so when you imagine the life that you want for yourself, when you imagine the life you want for your kids, when you imagine the life that you want for your grandkids, I want you to just imagine a world where imagine a world where money didn't exist. Imagine a world where it's all about just making the best decision for yourself, and money is not a variable in that choice. You understand? And then at that point, I think you'll get a sense of what it's like to live life with plenty of options. So here's some other examples. If you talk about education, even money becomes a barrier when it comes to what college your kids pick, things like that. Where you want to live. Some people say, "Hey, I want to live in Hawaii," but then they look and they see the price to live in Hawaii, or they see that their job is in Idaho or whatever, so they got to go live in Idaho when they dream about living in Hawaii. When it comes to supporting family, I'll never forget when I had a friend who told me, she said, Boyce, I used to never listen to, I got a lot of relatives and loved ones who don't listen to a thing I say, who won't ever come to this class, who literally don't care what I do. And it's okay. I don't like to be preachy to people unless they want me to preach about something, I will. But for the most part, I don't believe in being pushy on people that don't want to hear it. Because it stresses them out and it stresses me out and it's just not fun. But one day she called me. She said, "Boyce, I used to never listen to anything that you said until my mother got sick with cancer. And the doctor told me that she had 7 months to live. And so because my mother was dying, I wanted to spend every minute in the hospital with my mother because her mother was her best friend." And she said, "I was furious when my boss called me and said, if you don't leave the hospital and come to work right now, you're going to get fired." And because I was struggling, I had to go pay the bills. I had to go to work. I had to leave my mother's bedside as she's dying to go to this stupid job that wasn't even paying me that much money. And I felt bad for her. And I don't think anybody should have to live like that. I don't. And I think about this friend that I have who told me this, and I know that a few things happened culturally that should be addressed when it comes to wealth in the Black community that are not always politically correct, but have to be addressed if we're going to really elevate and vibrate on our highest frequency. And I thought about her father, and I thought about the fact that her father abandoned her when she was a baby, or maybe her mother disconnected from the father. I have no idea, but I know that if she lived in a world where she had a parent or two who knew and had the discipline to do the things necessary to prepare her for those difficult life battles that lied ahead, she never would have had to make such a horrible choice. She never would have to go back to a low-paying job instead of sitting by her dying mother's bedside. She would have been able to say, you know what, I'm taking a 6-month leave because my mother's dying and I need to go spend time with her. I just really, and the thing is that anybody who's sitting here, if you're talking to me every day, you have all the tools that you need to 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 prepare that kind of a life for yourself and for the children too. You have everything you need. You just have to execute. And the thing is, you have to execute before it gets too late. Because what happens is that unfortunately, when we're trained to be reactive as opposed to proactive, reactive means you wait till the disaster happens and then you freak out about it. You cry about it, you whine about it, you talk about how terrible it is to have to take a black job when you really want the white job and all that stuff and how oppressed you are. And that's reactive. You react to oppression. We cry, we scream and we holler about it. But I don't believe in just being reactive. If you're disciplined, you're going to be proactive. You're going to have a consciousness level where you can imagine how horrible you're going to feel when you have to walk away from your dying mother's bedside so you can go to that raggedy ass job and you're going to say, I don't want that for me. I don't want that for the babies. I don't want that for the kids. So we're going to make little investments right now. We're going to take little steps right now so that we're going to be ready so that when those days come, because they will come. I got 2 parents that had cancer this year. The day will come. And when that day comes, you're going to be ready for that. You know, when I found out my parents both got sick, oh, I was on that plane quickly. I got my siblings on the phone quickly. We made a plan quickly. And our ability to execute that plan was a culmination of 40 years of preparation. If one of us had been out, strung out on crack, sitting around with our baby's mamas and wasting time and didn't want to go to school, didn't want to study, didn't want to save, didn't want to prepare, then it would have been very difficult for us to activate the family as a protective unit to show up for the people that we love. It would have been hard for us to do. And I get it. I know some of us, sometimes we don't make all the choices we should have made, but Lord, I mean, you got to get ready. You have to prepare. And I think that preparation needs to be our culture. Preparation needs to be one of our tip top values that we possess because nobody is under attack more than Black people. Nobody is under the risk of oppression than Black people. So if anybody has a reason to be prepared and to make sure that we are secure financially, it's emotionally, spiritually, otherwise unified, whatever it is that you need in your family to be strong, it's us. We're at the top of that list. So I would just tell you that when you go back to that term like Black jobs, that kind of speaks to the fact that you're at the bottom of the economic food chain. When you kind of even have this concept of a Black job, and then you have a guy like a Trump telling you what your Black job is going to be, or Biden talking about Black jobs. But none of these individuals are ever interested in taking a Black job. They're like, no, the Black jobs are for Black people. They're not for me. Like I'm Donald Trump. I own hotels. I have billions of dollars. I don't want a Black job. Then I think that means that you need to reflect a little deeply on the role that you've been given in this economy and the mandate that is required for us to build alternative economies where we get to be the ones in control. I even think about LeBron James and his, I love the fact that he brought his son to play basketball with him. I think his son's problem is that he's short. He's not as tall. He lists himself as 6'5" or 6'6", but he's really like 6'2". So I think that's going to be his issue in the NBA. But I was really happy to see LeBron bring his son in because I thought that was cool. I like fathers creating opportunities for their kids. I think that was the coolest thing. But then I said, yeah, but don't forget that LeBron also has a Black job. He just has a high paying Black job. And let me explain what I mean by that. I said, okay, so everybody talks about LeBron engaging in nepotism by bringing his son onto the Lakers, right? I said, but do you think that the team, if you look in the Lakers front office, you will find that there are many, many people in the front office who are related to each other at the Lakers, from what I understand. I think they had a previous owner. I heard he died. I thought he was still alive because I don't keep up with that stuff like that. But Dr. Jerry Buss, and I think his daughter Jeannie Buss or something is the owner, one of the owners of the Lakers, or the owner or something. And then I think that there's some other people from their family that work in the front office. And I want to ask y'all a simple question. Um, could LeBron have drafted his son without asking permission from the owners of the team? Yes or no? But if LeBron had just wanted to just do it on his own, without talking to the owners, could he have done it? No, he got it. He got his son a job because he put in a good word with the boss, and the boss said, "Well, you've been a good loyal employee, and we like you. You've been a good boy. I'm kidding. I'm being silly. You've been good. So we're gonna bring in your son just out of respect for you." And LeBron's a great guy. I mean, LeBron's a billionaire. He's a model citizen. I love LeBron James. But here's a little contrast I got to point out. When Jerry Buss decided he wanted to bring in his daughter, did he have to ask for LeBron's permission? What do you think? Do you think he had to ask anybody's permission? If you're the owner of the Lakers and you want to engage in the very same nepotism that LeBron James did, do you have to ask anybody? No, he'd not care. And I think sometimes we forget that distinction because 'cause I still remember when the Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones was caught in the photo from the 1950s where apparently he was with a group of white guys that were blocking the Little Rock Nine from coming into the school. Y'all remember that? And everybody was like, it happened at the same time that Kyrie Irving was being mistreated because he retweeted something that was offensive to the Jewish community. Y'all remember that? And there were a lot of people that were like, well, y'all need to give the same smoke to Jerry Jones that you gave to Kyrie Irving, and it's not fair that he's gonna get that Kyrie gets suspended and mistreated, and Jerry nobody does anything to Jerry Jones, and I said, well, you don't know the difference. Do you know the difference between the owner and the employee? Like, do you know the difference? I'm not saying that Jerry didn't deserve a penalty for his behavior for sure, but I was like, but Jerry owns the team. He's a billionaire. He's not a basketball player. He doesn't spend any time working on his jumper in the gym. He doesn't have to do that. The Kyrie though, Kyrie's an amazing player. He can dribble the basketball like nobody's business. He's a great player. He can shoot from anywhere. Jerry Jones probably shoots air balls, and he's the highest paid player on the team. So it's so what you got to really understand is that your ancestors before integration, your ancestors had it right. They had small businesses, but those small businesses would, in my view, they would have grown into big businesses. They owned professional sports leagues. There used to be something called the Golden Glory Sweepstakes that was kind of basically the black version of NASCAR or whatever Formula One is. That's what it was for black people. And we had our own superstars, and they had fans and bit thousands of businesses that would set up shop whenever they had a race, and people come from all over the country to watch the Golden Glory Sweepstakes. And we let all that go because we wanted the black job. We traded in the black business for the black job. I don't want to trade in black businesses for black jobs. I'm not saying black jobs don't matter, but I would rather have the black businesses because then we get to choose what job we want. We don't just get the black jobs. We can also be in the owner's box when we choose to do that. So don't put limitations on yourself. Give yourself options. Embrace financial intelligence. You already have. I just want to remind you that you're doing the right thing. Make sure the kids get it. Invest for them long term. Blackwealthmasterplan.com. Blackwealthmasterplan.com is where you can get the free $5 a day plan if you haven't been introduced to that. So I encourage you to go take a look. Now I'm going to go, guys. I got to get out of here in a minute, but a couple things I want to mention. Number one, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. We do this every single morning, 7 days a week. Financial consciousness training, where we do economic elevation with each other and just kind of have talk conversations about economics. I got this from my father. My father was more of a conversational teacher, and I think you could teach just as well by talking about stuff as you can with charts and graphs and slides. But if you want to join and you want to come into the private Zoom, just text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. Also, a lot of you were asking about learning like the basics of stock options. So I mentioned to you all that as a companion to Money in the Morning, I was creating something called Money in a Minute. And what I did was I wanted to solve the problem of time for you. So basically, what Money in a Minute is designed to do is to give you bite-sized lessons on some financial topic that you want to get better in that you can receive on your phone via text message. Just, and just go through it in 90 seconds and be done for the day. So if you want to join Money in a Minute, then all you have to do is make sure you're on the text list. And the first one's going to be stock options. So basically the fundamentals of stock options is the first Money in a Minute class. This came from you guys. I asked you all what would you like for me to do. So stock options was your top pick. So the first one will be stock options. The lifetime access fee for the material is $299, But for the next couple days, we'll drop that price for the early adopters to just $99. So you guys that want to jump in first, it'll be $99 for the next 2 days. You will get a text link to join. So just make sure you're on the text list. Text the word morning to 87948. And also tomorrow I'll bring the link. I just don't have it with me. But also you should get a text sometime today with the link, and you can join, and then you'll get the message each day. And you go through all the material, and you'll know the basics of stock options by the time you're done. All right. So I'm gonna get out of here, guys. God bless you, and thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I will see you all tomorrow morning. Take care now. Bye bye.